Dear Africa.
Dear Africa.
Dear Soleto.
Thank you for inviting me. I have to apologize that I came late. Sometimes we have to do one or two things. And you know this law, the more you get involved in it, the sweeter it becomes, and the more difficult sometimes to leave your office. I was actually regretting last night. So why did I go and set this invitation out? I would have been more sweeter for me being in my office. But it's always a pleasure being with you. It's my first time in this hall. I've been asked to speak about law of land. Because if you watch around our environment here, it seems that the land is no longer enough. Places that were villages before that nobody was interested in going, it's now the heart of the city. Years ago when I was invited to Ogumeni community, which is between before Amaba on the right. I went with my mother. As we were going, she said, I don't want to go into the bush again because we were using cutlass to clear the paths to find where they are showing us. But if you get there today, you will not believe. So I had deep regret that I should have bought more than I bought then. Because in those days, for 250,000, you get 100 by 100. You know, and people were saying, come and buy my home, come and buy my home. But now, if you go there and you need 100 by 100, you know what you put down. So, land has become, as it should be, a very beautiful resource. And land speculators have driven the cost of land very high. So we have people now who are full-time land speculators. And that starts to bring problems because now someone sells to you, another person comes to sell, boundary disputes, communal disputes, etc. But I want us to know a few things about how do you actually establish ownership of land? How do you actually establish ownership that you are the owner of the land? Because after all said and done, if the matter gets to court, what the judge will want to figure out is who is actually the owner of the land. And there are clearly distinct ways of proving ownership of land. Number one, you need to understand that the courts in Edo State are divided as to the status of this allocation document communities are giving to people. This community allocation document, application for allocation of land through the Ojo Way and the elders, through the block allotment committee, and at the end it will be signed by the Ojo Way, the chairman or whoever will sign it. There are decisions, and I know of about 2 judges who have consistently held that that document is invalid to convey land in Edo State. Yes. That document is invalid and incapable of conveying ownership of land. But I know that that is the commonest document you can find. Some judges will accept it. Some judges will not accept it. And the reason why those judges who don't accept it are refusing to accept it is because we have a fusion of laws. Before the Land Use Act, the only person who could convey legal title, i.e. final ownership of land, was the Oba of Benin. That document called Oba's approval. That was a document before 1978. After 1978, we now have the Land Use Act, which now divided it into either the local government chairman will give you a right of occupancy evidenced by a customary certificate of occupancy, or the state governor will give you a statutory right of occupancy evidenced by a statutory certificate of occupancy. So the judge's thinking is that unless you have an Oba's approval, which was pre-1978, you should have either a customary or a statutory certificate of occupancy. And that anything that is outside that is unacceptable. But at least one of the cases is on appeal at the Court of Appeal. Hopefully, by the time we decide it at the Court of Appeal, we will have a clearer picture of that. But just to say that you should be extremely circumspect, not careful now, circumspect when you get to communities and they say, we are the one giving you land, this is it, community land. They won't take land from people and give you that document. The document will have no description of the land. It just says 50 by 100, 100 by 100. So now there is nothing on that document that actually locates the land. You can take that document and go to anywhere. The land of my brother said this is the land. It's 50 by 100. If they shout too much, you bring the community chairman to say, we are going to relocate you, you are in the wrong place. You don't know the land you were given. So be extremely circumspect about that. What I always advise people to do, whoever is selling to you, whichever lawyer you take to prepare the agreement, must trace what in law we call the root of title. Must trace it back to the original owner in the deed of conveyance. What I mean by that is, even if the community is giving you a document, you must be able to establish who owned it before the community gave you that document. Because really and truly, there is no land from here to Akko that is vacant land as community owned land. Nobody owns it. Hello? Hi. There may be areas where you have lands that are owned by communities, but those lands are clearly defined. It cannot be the whole land in the village, as in what is going on now. True or false? True. You get to some villages, even the indigenes are being given land, are being allocated land without documents. Yes. Someone came to me, I think he's a comrade, he came to me, he inherited some land from his father someplace. But the point was that land he inherited from his own father was now being given to him by his community. And they cut a part of it. I don't know how you put it. They cut a part, so they will not give you all. We will give you some. You will not get this one. We will take this one. So the question now becomes, was that land owned by the community? No. If the answer is no, on what basis is the community now coming in? And we must understand that they have no right to do this at all. They have no right. Land in Benin Kingdom has never been communally owned. Are you with me? Yes. The community will not be able to sustain it. And this is the problem that a lot of people are having, because they bring that document. If I have one which we are litigating in court, so I won't comment too much. My wife bought land. We fenced it. Later, they resold the same land to somebody else. And the original who was now reselling was the second person who signed when my wife bought. The first person was the original at that time. He was the second person, so he was deputy original. So now, he now turned out according to him that, oh, I didn't know this land had already been given to me. So how is that possible? But it's important we realize that you don't rely only on that document. Try and trace the original owner. If they cannot find the original owner, then the person who is giving you that document is the original owner. And he must sign that he is the original owner. He must sign it. It's not enough to say, no, this committee has given you, take it. It's the same error with which we handle even our land law, because we don't see land as a veritable source of progress. Every other country, you cannot just make a law that the governor can take somebody's land at will and say, well, it's for public purpose. There's no country that can develop like that. Recently, in one African country, a man found was it gold or diamond? The biggest find of diamond. You remember? It was on the news. The president had to come to see him. They bought that thing from him. The man became an instant millionaire. Instant. In Nigeria, that's findings. If oil is found, I had a guy look at him and said, there's oil. We are going to lose the land. We are going to lose it. Because he was enthusiastic that oil. My own is to advise you on the law. You will lose it first of all, because that land will automatically be acquired by the federal government. Once they get to National Assembly, they don't come back to me. They just visit the and go back. I was going to the House of Assembly quarters the other day. The gate man I told, I said, look, I used to be a member of the house. I will come out from my bedroom to see people from the bank already seated in my parlor, waiting for me early in the morning. By 6 a.m. they're already here. Now when you get to the gate, they say call the person. You must call the person. He will give them instructions to allow you in, both in the complex before they broke it down and in their quarters. How do you now see your representative when you have a problem? So that is the nature. Some people here will contest election. You know those who are there. Let us let them know that these things, we are going forward by facing backwards. There is no country in the world where government can acquire your land. Even in China, they cannot acquire your land without paying you, without your permission. You must give authority. There was one picture they showed on social media. The Chinese government was building roads. They built bridges around the house. The house was still standing. They built like this around the house. The house was still standing. Because the old woman there say, I'm not selling. If it's Nigeria, which is a democracy. Like the one that happened recently, somebody put it and said, in 6 weeks, government is going to enter the land and take possession of it. Government is ready to treat with you for compensation. We are ready to treat with you. We are ready to treat. So come and talk compensation with us. There is no accession, but in 6 weeks we are entering. It's a great matter. Well, now that I've mentioned this point about acquisition of land, I thought we should have a look at what the judge, the Supreme Court said about when government wants to acquire land, what are the steps the government should take, so that we all know and we can advise that it's not for use for political purpose. This case, Alfred Babalola was the person in whom the government vested the land after they took it from the person who was perceived as not being politically, cooperative, let me put it like that. They came to Afro a senior advocate of Nigeria, well, not to Afro University. Nepotism. The university will not go and apply, it is the other Igbo who will apply. Now, in that case, the Supreme Court said, flowing from the decision of this court in Orian's case, the germane and decisive question to be posed with a view to determining the validity venom of a revocation of a right of occupancy under the Land Use Act are no longer limited to one, whether the title holder was served with a notice of revocation of the right of occupancy. That's number one. But it's not limited to it, but that's number one. Have you served him with a notice? Two, whether the public purpose or overriding public interest for such revocation was spelled out in the notice thereof. In other words, if you are revoking somebody's right of occupancy for public purpose, you must spell out, not by word, the word of the Supreme Court. You say whether it was spelled out, to spell it out. Not that you say it's for public purpose. No, you must spell out the purpose. What is the use you want to put it to? What details? So what was the purpose? What is the purpose for which you reply? If you want to build a primary school, say so. On the notice, we want to build. Say so. You cannot just say it's for public purpose. That's number two. Number three, did the acquiring authority revoke the holder's title in the land and thereupon reallocated same to a private individual or private entity? So that's the third issue to be looked at. You revoke my own, you give to bishop. Is that public purpose? No. Number four, whether the revocation signified under the hand of a public officer was duly authorized in that behalf by the government. So the government himself was authorized. It's not enough for a public officer to say, I'm the secretary to the government. The governor had no. He must be under the hand of the government. The fifth we have identified for, Supreme Court has added one since 2020. The fifth question that must inescapably be posed, inescapably, you cannot escape from it in all events, be posed in addition to the above is, was the title holder, in this case, the appellant, heard on the proposed revocation of his title? Did you hear him? Did you hear him? You want to revoke his title. Did you hear him? In other words, did you give him opportunity to make representations to you, to argue for or against it? Did you ask him? Supreme Court says that is number 5 question to be asked. And I have good news for you. I'll pause here. I want to show you something very sweet. Let's go to the sweet. Let's go to the sweet. Let's go there. God will be, sir. It is called the limitation law. Because the problems of most of our people is that when their lands are taken from them, they are usually too small, too powerless, too soft. There's no Edo school to advise them. There are no human rights lawyers. Maybe in 50, 70 years ago, his father's land was taken and something was put on it without their consent. And when they now come to challenge it, they say, well, it's already 20 years. Limitation law for land is 12 years. I want to read to you the provision of section 1, subsection 2 of the limitation law applicable in Edo State. Very sweet. It says, nothing in this law affects actions, that's court cases, in respect of the title to land or any interest in land held by customary tenure. In other words, if you inherited land from your forefathers, or that land was owned by your forefathers before it was taken away, as long as your claim to ownership is under customary law, custom, this law says there is no limitation. You can sue even if it is 70 years ago it happened. Boom! You can sue for recovery. I read again. It says nothing in this law,
Section what?
section 1, subsection 2 of the limitation law, which is applicable in the state. Let me just pray that. It's actually laws of various states of Nigeria, Cap 89, but applicable in Edo State. But this is the one we are using in Edo State. Nothing in this law affects actions in respect of the title to land or any interest. So you may not have title, but you have an interest in land held by customary tenure. So the provisions of the law relating to when you can sue, when you cannot sue, after 12 years you cannot sue again. This law says when your claim is in relation to, is from customary right. Customary right. I inherited it from my father, who inherited it from his father, who inherited it from his father. You can sue anytime. Because this is the problem of most of our people. Government will acquire the land, they will not use it for the purpose, and then instead of them to return it back to the owner, they will keep it and give it to somebody, because you would have forgotten now. After 10 years, even after your father has died, or the man's grandfather has died, I beg. You go to the lawyer, they will tell you, well, limitation period. Always remind them that it does not, customary issues are not bound. There is no limitation. You can sue tomorrow for something that happened over 20 years ago. So I said that to buttress this point, that even if land was acquired 17 years ago, were you heard? If you were not heard, forget it. But the case we are doing in Port Harcourt now, where the government lawyers are saying the land government acquired it in 19 when the white man were around. my answer to them is we are dealing with customary tenure. Limitation laws do not apply. Except you are talking of English law, you bought it. You bought it from somebody and this and that. But if it is something you got by customary, even purchases under customary law, purchases, you know, you can buy land in my village now. I don't need to give you documents. Everybody knows the land belongs to me. You give me money, I tell him, you go, you are witness, so I'm giving him the land. You continue with it. That is on that point. Now, 2 more points, and then I can take questions. So there are five ways to prove your title to land, and it's important we know them. Number 1, by traditional evidence. By traditional evidence, word of mouth. Your father owned the land. You bring your uncle that is old and say, when we were growing up, we used to farm on this land. It belongs to his father. Traditional evidence, no document at all. It's acceptable. as a means to prove title to land. Number two, you can produce title documents. I bought it from our comrade sister, and she signed for me, and she also gave me the document with which she also bought it. Number three, by acts of ownership, acts of ownership extending over a sufficient length of time. This would include selling it if you have sold a part, leasing it, farming on it, and then chasing away trespassers. Anybody that tries to come to the land, 3 years ago when I tried to enter, you chased me away. 5 years ago when our sister tried to enter, you used police to arrest her, you chased her away. Bishop did not come out. Now Bishop is saying that the owner of the land. So the court will look at the acts you took to show that you were the owner as evidence of your ownership. Proof of number 4, by acts of long possession and enjoyment of the land to the exclusion of other persons. So you have been on the land for several years and you have been using it. Number 4, sir. By actions of long possession and enjoyment of the land to the exclusion of other persons. You don't have documents, but you have been in possession of the land over a long period of time. You have been enjoying it. Nobody has come to challenge you. It is evidence of your ownership. Number 5, I've been blocking it. Man of God has been seeing you. He has never come to say, why are you blocking? Then after 6 years or 3 years, he's not coming up from somewhere because his son just traveled abroad and they have sent him some money and he has money now. 5, proof of possession of connected or adjacent land. We have taken it to court because the state government in 2012 made what they call the land use charge law, by which they compelled all local governments to cede to the state the power to collect tenement rates, which they now call land use charge. It's actually tenement rates. That is a function reserved exclusively for local government. But the local government also survive to raise funds instead of troubling innocent drivers and bike riders and traders. I will address that issue in a minute. So we have postulated that it is exclusively a function of the local government, not of the state. And consequently, the state government has no power. The House of Assembly has no power to make a law taking what is a local government function and vesting it on the state. That is our position. Matter explaining in court. Their own argument is also simple. Maybe simplistic. They say, well, they agree with us that it's a function of local government. But they are saying, if it's a function of local government, the local government that the Constitution gave that power to can decide to give it out to anybody. That local government actually voluntarily, in compliance with the law, signed and gave that power to the state government. So the issues are quite narrow. Can the local government, which is a tier on its own, now take what the Constitution has declared as their function? It is not voluntary. They cannot say, I won't do it or I will do it. You have been, as long as you are a local government, the Constitution, which is the chief law, the ground law, the grandfather of all laws, have made it compulsory that you must perform that function. You decide to go and give it to the state. Is that constitutional? Is that legal? Is that one of bike riders? When we went to the Federal High Court, And again, when I handle my case, I'm not looking at your face. You may like bike riders, you may not like them. You may prefer keke, you may prefer Uber, you may have share in both. That is your private investment. But when people come to me, I take their case without fear or favor. So when the bike riders came, we took it to the Federal High Court. Oh, the judge threw it out. What are you talking? Which right of yours was breached? If they stop you from using bike, can you not use a car? Can you use a car? Well, theoretically, technically, pragmatically, doesn't it make sense?
Yes.
If they stop you from using bike, go and look for a car. Which is why we have a lot of our brothers driving those so anyhow they drive it, we take it. So, but that's the point. But the point of the law remains: what are the powers of the governor? Can the governor, by verbal pronouncement, ban anything?
No, sir.
Can the president, by verbal pronouncement, ban Twitter?
No.
Ban Twitter. Would mean tomorrow they can also, by verbal pronouncement, ban civil society organizations. Just as they, by verbal pronouncement, recently banned the National Council of Women's Society from doing their election. They say it's a threat to the security. Are you going to?
Yes, we are aware.
It's a threat. Women want to do election. They are a threat to the security. Not even all the women alone, not all the women alone, who are members of the National Council for Women's Society. They want to do election in one hall. I don't even know whether they will fill half of the hall. They are all a threat to the security of the state. And all our vigilantes cannot help. They cannot contain them. All the police cannot ensure law and order. SSS with army, all of them cannot. We better ban them because these women, they are very dangerous. That's okay. But when these things come up with challenges, we dare to speak truth to power. We dare to raise our voice so that on that day you will remember that this is somebody. So that's part of the problem. That's why civil society must continue to speak.
Yes, sir.
They may not like us, but we are speaking for their benefit. Who are the people that killed Jesus? Is it not those who are speaking for? Yes, sir. Give up Barabbas or Jesus. Which one do I give you? They say, well, with this man and give up this. He said, this man is an insurrectionist. They said, we want him.
That's fine.
But this one, do away with it. The man said, look, my wife has warned me that last night in her dream, because the man was not a civil society man, so he had no courage to stand against the people. He said, I wash. That's not what the leader is supposed to do. But that's where the man's courage to give. He washed his hands off it. They say, let his blood be on us. Let his blood be on our head. He's an innocent man, but we are going to kill him nevertheless. This one that is guilty, leave it to go. The cost of research, and the man was terminated. He was killed. They did not just cut his neck. They hung him on the. They nailed his hand and nailed his leg and left him to die in agony. What was his offense?
Nothing.
No, what was his offense? The man that was speaking the truth. So the cost of speaking the truth is hard. It's hard, but it's a cost that must be borne. It's a sacrifice. There's no turning back. I tell people I'm called to be a human rights activist. Africa is so those who are, and it also when he was alive, once said, allow every person to exercise his covenant. Anybody that's called to the ministry of backbiting, don't stop him. Just do your own. So those who feel they are called to the ministry to impoverish the people, they should continue. We wish them the best of luck. But they should remember, when they leave office, their house, they will be serving drinks. They will be serving drinks by themselves. Why those of us who are used to serving drink by ourselves, it's no more an issue. Hey, you are the one that will die of hypertension. Yes. Say, this is what life has become. What James, all these people no longer are serving. Oh, you'll be dying silently. Yeah. But me, I'm excited to wake up and go and carry bucket and go and pour water and take my bath. I'm not interested in drinking Hennessy. And I don't buy for anybody. The best you can get from me, the highest, is a cold bottle.
Opening our eyes of understanding more.
24 hours, 7 days a week.
For more exciting, educative, and entertaining programs such as Law and You, Talk Politics, Entertainment Gist, Relationship Talk, Top 5 Gems, and other programs, keep watching Pinnacle TV. You can watch live and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pinnacle TV Online. You can also visit our website at www.pinnacletv.com. Follow us on Facebook at Pinnacle TV Online or call us on 081 546 99989. Pinnacle TV, top quality broadcast.